Hello and welcome to the review of major events in the year 2022. Now, in the next few hours, we'll be crossing over to 2023. My name is Juliet Mutale.
And compliments of the season out there. My name is Amos Zulu.
Now, Amos, the year 2022 was characterized by very important events. And so we will be highlighting some of the events on the program.
Yes, indeed, Juliet. Very important events we had, and we begin with the Constituency Development Fund. As you are aware, the CDF was increased from 1.6 million kwacha, and now it's at 25.7 million kwacha per constituency. And
you know, Amos, the increased allocation to these constituencies, especially in the rural areas, is really ensuring that these communities identify their priorities and make their budgets, and of course, undertake their developmental program. I think let's take a look.
What I can say about CDF for my ward and other surrounding wards in Chongwe is that the people have received the news is overwhelming because there's a change of doing things. So because of the increase of the amount of the money before and what's happening. And people are excited about the grants, and also when we talk about the free education for children. This is also a plus for the community because, you know, we have a lot of vulnerable children who are unable to go to school. But the coming in of the government and through CDF to support the free education for these children is overwhelming, and our parents are happy. And also we are seeing that at the end of the day, we're going to have a community and a nation that have offered education to our children. And also when we talk about the empowerment of youths and also women grants, also we are seeing the shift of the mindset of people that I think in our community today we have people that were able to do things on their own. So as a nation, I can say that we are sharing what we have, but also this is development. And also when we talk about skills training for dropouts children and youths also in the community, they are responding to that, just that there was just a gap of people understanding what is CDF, bursary and skills training. So through the interaction with support with the government of orientation through the communities, we are seeing people understanding. And also the other thing I could say is that we are working also with the headmen, and also to see how their people in their villages can live and can change.
In our constituency, I believe almost all the boarding schools, children over, I can say, over 200 have been enrolled under CDF. We're still accepting more acceptances for the second quarters, the third and the fourth quarters. So as we said, it's a new thing. People have to learn about it, and then we are orientating people on what CDF is and the importance of the free education that the president has brought about. So we want more children to be enrolled into boarding schools before we even go to tertiary side, because we need our children to be in school. So yes, the bursary is proving to be very, very effective as well, being a new program, but it's working.
Namvera konkani ya CDF amakamba ati ndalama Zanis mabwera mu constituency Zanis matandizira abantu sometimes olovole mala kumanga kwa maskuru na vina nguma road nipeza kwa mtubungwe toko na tutatu pavo school liko na yamene baita na titibwirizane club muri azimai, then pamene paja paliko futi na village banking yamene peze kamo na inangu group ya village banking chukumani na panyumba panga maplan amene tili naye muzimai ndiye muntu omoza amene amavutika ndiye asunga bana tati amaleta chabaenda but muzimai ndiye achoma na bana. So muzimai kunkhala kuti ndiye afuna vuto wanu amene tingafune first thing tingafune tasungako tina plan kuti tikasungeko nkuku as a group, tikasunga nkuku tizigulisa, then ku area kwatu mukayangana kuno kwakapuka mashops ali patali tankalako cholo na shop ya community yamene ngasitirako ingati pepsileko life chinangu chichamene chiwa chachitivuta azimai monga mu community mwatu muno ni manzi maboho ali patali then monga kuno kuchalimbana wadi futi chinangu chani tilibe chani tingafuna azimayi kuti chikachitike ni market tilibe funa kupeza market nchini kuchongwe so mchalimbana wadi nambo tifuna ko market then na maskulu bana
business yatu tinayamba mukugwirizana kwatu ife mayutsi so tinaona kuti mayutsi mu district yatu kambeche mu Chongwe constituency yatu tinaona kuti mayutsi wambiri they are indulging themselves mu kania kumwa mowa kupema fwaka so tinaona kuti chenti pangeko ka group kamene kazalengesa kuti mayutsi wambiri wachokeko muri vijana ochita voipa. That's when we came up with this group. So far so good. Tinaisa kusongeza tundrama kuti tete pamozi tabata group hii. Business yatu imaenda pangono so chape. Tilina dream ija ikulu yoenda pasogolo kuti apena mweonera container hii tufuna ngati mulungu atandiza sogolo kankala ti container ya zula ngapani my eggs. Sometimes we do sell even in a meal. Sure. So tinaona kuti va government vanatileterako ya mankani ya empowerment. So ndipo tinaganiza rais tutengeko mbali kuti tisiteko apply. Tinaisa ku CDF kwa mene waanze kwa last advertise CDF wanati chita encourage kupanga ma clubs of which club tenzinayo kudala, so it was easy for us to start access kanya kuja to CDF. Ma application forms tinatenga pa council kutandizira kwa DC wanati chita guide mo chitira apply, so ndimo itina chitira apply. After applying je pamene vanatuza kuti yembekeze kuti chani yanu izankhala approved manjomani.
Timamvera chabe constituency fund, but we don't know kuti ndrama tingachitoko benefit bwanji sesitiziva. We don't know kuti kapana ungaende pati kuti office yoendako kuti ungachiteko benefit ndrama. Tikanza monga kapana ndrama zamene zo tandiza be mu district chabe kapena kuli problem ya manzi kapena kuchana noti kapena bantu bangatengeko ndrama sitiziva.
Now, the reintroduction of the free education policy is one of the major milestones achieved this year, Juliet.
And you can see every child literally benefiting from this policy.
Yes, a number of children that have, by those that had stopped school are now trooping back to school. And this has also, encouraged government to construct more schools.
Yes, Amos. Now, at this point and time, we're going to talk about the local presidential engagements with cooperating partners. And one such example of engagement is the EU-Zambia Economic Forum, which took place in May 2022, Amos. The event brought together, of course, a wide range of entrepreneurs, experts, financial institutions, and innovators.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this.
Economic transformation through sustained growth driven by agriculture, mining, manufacturing, energy, and tourism occupies the very fundamental of the government's National Transformation Plan. President Hakainde Hichilema avowed himself the country's chief marketing officer in his government's bid to fully exploit Zambia's endowments in natural resources, strategic regional location, a youthful population, as well as policy stability and consistency to improve the country's investment climate and productivity. With the country's economic diplomacy greatly improved, existing investors are beginning to pledge more investments, while prospective investment inquiries keep increasing.
We are pleased, extremely pleased, to be here today, to be part of this forum. The very first time since our independence, in 1964, that Zambia and the EU are meeting in this manner, in this way. This is sending a signal, walking the path of what we said at our inauguration at the Hero Stadium on that day in August 2021, our first engagement with our National Assembly. We sent a message clear that this government, amongst its priorities, key amongst its priorities, will be economic reconstruction. It's economic diplomacy, trade, investment, because we know what it means to our people.
This forum, we had the opportunity to really meet the right people in order to enable us to make healthcare accessible to the most vulnerable populations in rural areas in Zambia. We're looking forward to further collaborations with Zambia, and thank you very much for an excellent executed event.
The China-Zambia Economic Forum is another event which was hosted in order to enhance trade and investment ties. The theme of the event was China-Zambia Trade and Investment Forum in the New Era, all-weather, all-dimensional, and high-quality friendship. This forum stimulated direct interaction between the private sector and the business communities. Now, Juliet, this was an event that brought numerous benefits to the country.
Of course, Amos. So now, notable among the major events also are the presidential international trips, Amos, which were significant to the development of our country.
Yes, Juliet, for instance, we had the EU-AU summit that was held in Brussels. We also had the mining endeavor in South Africa. We had the Commonwealth meeting held in Rwanda, and the just held US-Africa Leader Summit, which sought to rebuild and strengthen relations between the USA and the African countries.
Of course, among others, among many others.
Yeah.
Here are some of the highlights.
Flag continues to be raised high on the world map as government strives to promote good relations within Africa and beyond. President Hakainde Hichilema, through his administration, has not left any opportunity pass by to engage other countries so as to promote good neighborliness with the country. The year 2022 saw the president engage in economic diplomacy as he persuaded investors and development partners to support the country's economic recovery program. Amongst the avenues the president used were summits, state visits to other countries, and hosted local high-level meetings. In January, President Hichilema began the year with a state visit to the United Arab Emirates, where he graced the National Day of Zambia at the World Expo held in Dubai.
Connecting minds and creating the future captures our desire as Zambia to engage with the global community and boldly pursue our aspirations that not only brings prosperity to our country, but brings value to this country and the world at large.
This was followed by another high-profile event where the president attended the African Union Summit in Ethiopia's Addis Ababa, where he delivered his maiden speech.
We have a unique opportunity to be the generation of Africans and leaders that will actualize economic success with integration and change the African narrative once and for all. We must consider unacceptable the narrative of war, the narrative of instability, corruption, and poverty.
The president also attended the EU-African conference in Brussels on his continued marketing of the country.
Shared values and belief in the core tenets of democracy. We look forward to growing this partnership significantly over the years to come, and we are confident of the benefits that our joint efforts will surely yield for our people in Zambia and indeed in the European Union.
The head of state also undertook state visits to other African countries in a quest to enhance democracy on the continent.
I think the history we acknowledge, those that came before us, worked hard to create relationships, and us now, leaders from the two countries and on this continent and the globe, it's our duty to entrench those relationships, truly, to deepen those relationships to a point where the good things that have been done before, we carry on. We carry on and make it difficult for those coming, maybe in future, to alter those good things. That will help us keep our countries stable.
To wrap up the year, the president attended the US-Africa Leaders Summit in the United States, which took place in Washington, D.C. The summit's aim was to strengthen US-Africa relations and explore how best the two can work together.
Our duty now, we've been in office 15 months. Our duty now is to turn on the growth side, to focus on what Zambians elected us into office to do, to grow the economy.
The foreign engagements undertaken continue being an anchor on which the government wants to maintain Zambia's good long-standing relations with its international partners as it strives to develop. Reporting for Zanis, I'm Brian Swisha in Lusaka.
Thank you, Brian Swisha, for those beautiful highlights. Now, at this point in time, we will be talking about the AU Summit, 4th Media Coordinating Summit, which was held at the Mulungushi International Conference Center from the 14th to 17th of July 2022. This summit, of course, brought together 13 heads of state and government, comprising 5 heads of state that form the Bureau of the Assembly of the African Union and 8 heads of state, Amos, who chair the 8 regional economic communities that are recognized by the African Union. And of course, the summit focused on issues of alignment and coordination between the African Union and the regional economic communities in the implementation of the continental integration agenda.
Yes, Juliet. So let's take a look at this.
Task really is on behalf of our warm and welcoming citizens of Zambia to welcome you here to Lusaka, to Zambia, our country. It is my hope that you are already enjoying our hospitality. Zambians were hospitable, and I hope that this is the beginning of the numerous visits that you may make back to our country subsequent to this engagement, this AU meeting. Zambia is a peaceful country, as you all know, endowed with many natural resources and attractions, which we encourage you to sample. This side event today is set to focus on strengthening public health emergency operations within and around our countries, around Africa.
Entry into force of the AFCFTA should assist in boosting integration through trade and investment. We still face a lot of challenges and barriers in our borders. The present crisis highlights our vulnerability in the area of food security. This is a paradox for a country, a continent that has more than 70% of arable land and abundant manpower. There is a lot to be done in this regard.
Right now, let's talk about the International Monetary Fund, IMF approval of the $1.3 billion United States dollars package for Zambia. This was an important step towards the nation restructuring its debt.
Here are the highlights.
Zambia's economy recovered in 2021, with gross domestic product GDP growing at 4.6% from a contraction of 2.8% in the previous year. The recovery was mainly driven by the copper prices, post-election market confidence with strong trade surplus in the first half of the year, resulting in increased foreign direct investments. Similarly, the kwacha exchange rate maintained a relative sharp appreciation from 23 kwacha to 16 and 18 kwacha respectively to $1 United States dollar.
As a sector, in terms of foreign forex exchange rates, there has been stability, steady reduction of the exchange rates, especially the dollar, which is a major player, from where it was when they took over to now, where it has reached and where it has stabilized, though we're still hoping and praying that it will still go down so that more Zambians can have an opportunity to grow in their trade.
Inflation rate has also maintained a single-digit range after opening at about 15% in January to 9.9% as of December 2022. Towards the end of the third quarter, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) approved a $1.3 billion United States dollar credit facility to Zambia, aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability in the country's economy through debt restructuring. The disbursement of the zero-interest rate concessional loan, which is a homegrown solution to the fiscal deficit and unsustainable debt challenges that affected the country, has already started with the first installment of $195 million United States dollars.
The many IMF deals to follow is here. The fiscal and technical evolution vis-a-vis the impact on various social and economic sectors will be realized, and we remain confident.
The other thing that the IMF program emphasizes on is growth, because you can only permanently reduce poverty by embarking on growth. So some of the programs that you see we have undertaken to implement are on growth strategies and how they can assist. So part of the money from IMF is for balance of payment support. 50% of it will come to the budget. And in the budget, they will be supporting areas of social protection. They will be supporting areas of economic growth.
The country's economic growth has been projected at 2.0% from the 1.0% recorded in 2021. Mitchell Rubinda for Zanis in Lusaka.
An important highlight there indeed. Now, Amos, the year 2022 cannot go without talking about the recruitment of the 30,000 teachers and the 11,000 health workers. You can tell that this recruitment has definitely improved the quality of education and health services in the country, as evidenced on our screen there, Amos.
A big achievement for governments.
Indeed.
And for Zambia, Juliet.
Indeed, Amos.
Now, the year 2022 also saw the country attain the vaccination against COVID-19 of 70% of the eligible Zambian population.
The president's relaunch of the COVID-19 vaccination campaign, dubbed Roll Up Your Sleeve, Fight COVID-19 and Take the Vaccine, influenced a huge number of people to turn up in numbers to voluntarily access the free COVID-19 vaccine. Further, the president gave a directive to the Ministry of Health to undertake a robust vaccination campaign countrywide.
We target to vaccinate 70% of our people by the 30th date. Please, let's move away from the 30% to target 70%. Then that's a reasonable vaccination to bring under control this pandemic.
The campaign involved vaccinations in markets, bus stations, churches, schools, and homes. The ministry has since ensured that all health facilities throughout the country are well stocked with vaccines in order to increase the percentage of people getting vaccinated.
This year also saw the country carrying out the 60th National Census of Population and Housing. Zambia's population is now over 19 million from the about 13 million recorded in 2010.
Zambia last conducted its population and housing census in 2010. According to the Zambia Statistics Agency, ZamStats, the country's population at the time stood at about 13 million. The country has over the years witnessed a steady rise in the country's population in both urban and rural areas. The surge in population has been attributed to the country's high fertility rate, which currently stands at 5.3%, according to the World Health Organization.
The census is a critical source of socio-economic data for planning and decision-making in order for Zambia to realize sustainable socio-economic development.
So one of the news that made headlines, Juliet, in 2022 is a recent abolishment of the death penalty and the offense of criminal defamation. Now, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema recently announced that he had a sentence into law banning the death penalty and the offense of criminal defamation of the president.
A move, of course, that was welcomed by various stakeholders, Amos.
Sure.
Let's take a look.
Capital punishment was a legal penalty in Zambia, but despite its legality, the country last executed in 1997. President Hakainde Hichilema abolished the imposition of the death penalty by assenting to the Penal Code Bill number 25 of 2022, repealing all the provisions of the Penal Code Acts that provided for the mandatory death sentence. And today, an event was held at the State House to mark the abolishment of the death penalty.
Leaders of today must gather courage to do what is right. They must not hide behind past events. We have had this issue before us, the death penalty before us, for a long time. And some leaders in this country, on our continent and the world, would say, it's okay, let it remain there as a deterrent, because after all, we have not executed some people in the last 20 years or so. That's not good enough. We must gather courage as leaders to do what is right and to do it for humanity. So for me, for us in this government, for me, it was a non-issue. It was a question of the process. And today, we have this luncheon to celebrate the decision that this government took.
Mlambo Haimbe is the Minister of Justice and attended the event.
Currently, we have 11 female inmates on death row and 369 male inmates on death row, bringing the total number of condemned inmates to 380. Since independence, Zambia has executed about 2 condemned inmates. 72, beg pardon, Your Excellency, condemned inmates. Today, however, we can proudly say that this cruel provision of the law is now a thing of the past.
Various traditional rulers were also at the State House.
It's a very, very, very good thing, because when they spend so many years in prison, other than not on death row, in fact, to be on death row, your mind, it's not so, because you are in intense. Even the way they keep condemned prisoners is another thing.
The signing of this bill is actually a formalization of what has been in practice all along. None of our presidents have ever committed somebody to death.
Others present were former 5th Vice President Godfrey Mianda.
But I hope that we would not have a repeat. We must find another way to punish people who commit crimes.
Indeed, abolishing the death penalty in Zambia is a major step forward for human rights in the country. Bope Sendo reporting in Lusaka.
At this point and time, we will be showing you highlights on the current revised minimum wage for domestic workers. We see the rights of the vulnerable being respected there.
As the cost of living rises, government is also addressing the plight of vulnerable categories of employees in the country. Today, Minister of Labor and Social Security, Brenda Tambatamba, announced a 31 to 42% upward adjustment of the minimum wage for domestic workers, shop workers, and employees covered under the general order.
Following the Zipper research findings, the LAC held a meeting on the 25th of October 2022 to review the existing minimum wages and conditions of employment. They then recommended to my office to make upward adjustments to the minimum wages for domestic workers, shop workers, and employees covered under the general order. It is my privilege to announce that I have since approved these upward recommendations as follows. So under the category for domestic workers, the old gross pay was 993 kwacha 16 ngwe, 993 kwacha 16 ngwe, and the new gross pay becomes 1,000 kwacha 300, 1,300 kwacha.
The minister further disclosed that the minimum wages and conditions of employment for truck and bus drivers is under consideration.
In the like manner, the minimum wages and conditions of employment for truck and bus drivers order was considered, but the LAC resolved to carry out a comparative analysis with other countries within the COMESA region to benchmark best practice, as this particular sector is operating across the borders in the different countries within COMESA. And I must mention that.
Meanwhile, key stakeholders in the tripartite constituencies are happy with the development.
Because of the openness for us to collaborate. So we are collaborating more on issues, and every issue there's a lot of consultation. So we've started on a very good note, which we pray it continues.
We welcome it. It has come at the right time, considering that where we are coming from. It's almost 4 years since 2018. So it's a project with Zambian workers, especially those who are not represented.
The minimum wages and conditions of employment for the vulnerable categories were last revised in 2018. Wopesendo reporting in Lusaka.
Well, Amos, you can tell from all the major events that we've looked at, you can tell that government is indeed making strides in making sure that this country develops.
You're very right, Juliet. Having said that, the country also had its sad moments. We lost the fourth president, Mr. Rupia Bwezani Banda.
Yes, Amos.
Yes, in 2022. Mr. Banda governed the country from 2008 to 2011. And he took over from the later President Levi Mwanawasa.
Sad, very sad indeed, Amos, and may his soul continue to rest in peace.
In the past 13 years, Zambia has lost 5 presidents, 2 sitting presidents, and 3 former presidents. Levi Mwanawasa, Frederick Chiluba, Michael Sata, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and recently Rupia Bwezani Banda. RB, as he was fondly known by his colleagues, was Zambia's 4th president who died on 11th March 2022 and was put to rest on 19th March 2022 after 7 days of national mourning. The Kenneth Kaunda International Airport became busy as heads of state arrived to attend the funeral. The following day, a state funeral service was held in honor of Rupia Banda at the showgrounds in Lusaka. Heads of state took time to sign in the book of condolences that was opened in honor of the late Rupia Banda. After the guard of honor and playing of the national anthem, there was a solemn and somber mood as President Hakainde Hichilema and the First Lady, Mutinta Hichilema, made their way to the pavilion. President Hakainde Hichilema lamented that the death of Rupia Banda has left the country heartbroken, adding that it came a year after Zambia lost Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
There has been a period of deep sorrow and grief in our country, in our nation. a time of pain and mourning for all of us, more so for the family of our fourth Republican president, Mr. Rupia Bwesanbanda. A dark cloud has indeed engulfed our nation since 11 March when President Banda passed on.
Very sad, Amos, indeed, and may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. Now, we've come to the end of the program, and as we end the program, Amos, what are your comments about the year 2022 in general?
Yeah, I think it was a year full of great achievements, and I think as a country, we achieved many set targets, and thanks to the government under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. And all we can say is that 2023 will be even better.
I like that, Amos. I wish we could go on and on, but we have to come to the end of the program.
Yes, Juliet, I would like to thank our viewers for staying glued, and to all the Zanis staff involved in this production. It's a happy 2023.
Happy 2023. Bye-bye.